Welcome to another episode of the brand called You. Today, it is my honor and privilege to have an incredibly successful businessman. But before that, he is a very, very dear friend, part of my YPO group, Sateesh Jadhav. Sateesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for your introduction.
Satish is a tannery engineer from Leeds, and he's the chairman and managing director of Gaitonde Leather, which is India's largest buyer, exporter of animal skins. Satish, tell me a little bit about your early work. I know you went to Leeds when you were very young.
My father graduated in 1952 from Northampton University, which is one of the oldest university for leather technology. When he came back to India, he had a scholarship of Government of Bombay. And Morarji Desai was the Chief Minister of Bombay. And he said, since you went on the scholarship, you have to work under bond for 3 years. So he sent my father to Dharavi, said, why don't you teach them how to make good leather? When he went to Dharavi, he found out that they were only selling raw hides and skins with salt on it. And to teach them, you need to have a college. So he told Morarji Desai that we need to have a college, and there was no college. So he told my father, what you saw in Northampton, why don't we make a college in Mumbai? And he allocated land, and within 6 months there was a structure ready. So my father was the dean, he was the caretaker, and he took the first batch of 6 students. So all over India, all the state governments found out that leather could add value to it. You could create more employment. So my father had to be transferred every 3 years. He was in a new destination. So we had to move. So we were in South India, we were in Agra, in Kanpur, in Cuttack, in Delhi. So finally in Delhi, I passed my senior Cambridge in 1976. And I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, and I wanted to apply for IIT. But my father said that since leather has been our tradition, why don't you look at tannery engineering? I really didn't like the idea, but he said you've got to go to England for just a few months. When I went to England, I found out there's nothing called few months. You got to do a full course of 3 years, and in between you got to work outside with private companies before you get your graduation. So when you are a graduate, you are employable. You're not learning again. So that is what happened. So that's how I became a tannery engineer.
And then did you work in the UK for some time before coming back to India?
Yes. In the UK, almost all disciplines, whether you're a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, whichever engineer, universities want that when you go out to the market, you should be employable straight away. You cannot be learning on the job there. So in between your course, they send you for 6 months for practical work in various factories. And they give a report that, this person has learned something, and you have to come with a certificate, which is good. Otherwise, you got to go back and do it. So I worked in shoe factories in Northampton. That time, Northampton was the hub of all the shoes, especially Goodyear belted shoes, high-class shoes, very good leather. England was known for it.
Okay. And then, you came back to India and joined Gaitonde.
Yeah. The reason I came back to India was this company whom I worked with, making tannery machines. They said that the future for this kind of work in Europe is going to be difficult because this work is labor intensive, and we see a huge future in Asia. So since you have trained, of course you can stay in England, you can go to Australia, you can go anywhere in the world where there is animals are being killed for meat and their skins coming out, they have to be tanned. So you have got a future. But India and that subcontinent has a bigger future. We would like you to go to Chennai, and we already have an agent, and we are starting a joint venture company, and we would like you to be a service manager for that company. So in October 1980, straight from Leeds, I came to Chennai.
Okay. Very interesting. So, then you got involved with Gaitonde, and, you've grown the business. Tell me a little bit about the scope of activities of Gaitonde as a company and as a brand.
When I joined in 1980 in Gaitonde, the family was involved in manufacturing. They had 11 factories. They had over 3,500 people, and everything was going great guns because government was giving more and more incentive for people who value add. Not only sell leather, but to make a shoe or a leather jacket or a belt or a wallet or a bag or whatever. So there was a very good run until 94 when we had our currency devaluation, Manmohan Singh came, so many things happened.
Yeah.
And then we started finding out that China has started emerging, and China was at half the rate labor cost than India.
Mhm.
Since these items are labor intensive, a lot of foreign buyers started looking at China and moving over there. They
Mhm.
found Chinese could work 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. There was no need for social audit, it was communist. Here we are doing 48 hours a week,
Mhm.
and we couldn't extend those hours because everything was limited. So
Mhm.
our cost of production was getting expensive,
Mhm.
and people started moving to China.
Right.
In the same time, we found out that in India, the animal husbandry is very poor for
Right.
cows, for buffaloes, for goat and sheep.
Mhm.
And all over the world, animal husbandry is very important if the meat has to be consumed, because the animal has to be healthy. So we started importing hides from origins which were rearing animals for meat. They were killing the animals at the age of 6 months or less. So the quality of hides and skins was very good, and all the brands wanted good quality. They
Okay.
wanted skins from healthy animals. So when you make a product from a healthy animal, whether it's a bag or a shoe or a belt or jacket, you will see it last you for 10, 20 years without any problems.
Okay. Okay. That takes me to the next question. I've often seen you look at a shoe and you're able to say whether the leather is good or bad. What defines a good leather?
Well, a good leather should be tanned in a way which is supple, should
Uh-huh.
not have too much of makeup, too much of finishing.
Hmm.
When the leather is of a poor quality, people tend to dress it up more. Just like an elderly woman needs more makeup to hide her wrinkles and blemishes or whatever it is. Where a girl who's in the teenage or early 20s doesn't need to put much makeup because the skin is supple, you can see it quite through, glowing.
Right.
So good products are made out of animals which are younger, and you can see it from far away that when the leather is not covered, you can see the natural beauty. When it's covered, you see it's like doped, you know.
Okay.
And on usage, the finish cracks, just like elderly women who have makeup, and moment there is heat or moisture, the makeup starts coming off.
Ah, okay. Okay. Well, I guess you're absolutely right. The skin is the same. It's
Yes,
just the animal that's inside it. That's all.
yes, correct.
So, Satish, which are the major leather producing and manufacturing countries in the world?
Italy is one of them.
Hmm.
When you talk about finished leather, there is Italy, there is China, of course, there is India,
Hmm.
and there is Turkey also come up. In most of these countries, there is no stigma whether you are processing a cow, goat, sheep, or animal. India went behind because we have this issue because of religion and respect for cow. So we can kill buffaloes, we can kill goat, we can kill sheep, but not cow. Articles made out of buffalo are very porous because buffalo skin is very porous. But
Hmm.
finer articles, you have to use baby calf, cow calf, or a cow because
Okay.
their pores are lighter
Okay. And
and it gives a much better look.
fair enough. Fair enough. And I have often spoken about the challenges of the leather business. What is the future of leather in India and around the world? I mean, people are becoming very conscious about animal skin.
Yes, you're right. Many people are led to believe that the animal is killed for leather and we are having bags and shoes and this is so cruel and so sad.
Hmm.
But leather actually is a byproduct. Animals are killed for meat
Hmm.
and the byproduct can be buried because it's organic, or it can be converted into gelatin or into protein because women like lipstick, they like makeup. A lot of animal byproducts are used in cosmetic industry.
Mhm.
So nobody talks about that. And of course, then there is leather products. You've got bags, you've got shoes and everything. So it's being used. So people who understand this as a byproduct, they don't mind. But still, some people have some stigma. So
Hmm.
there are a lot of synthetic leathers come out which are made out of petrochemical products.
Hmm. Okay. And I've often seen your products. I mean, you're constantly innovating to stay ahead in the world of fashion. What is it that you have to do to continuously stay ahead? Is it just deal with the big brands, or are you innovating yourself?
The big brands, most of them, almost most all of them, don't even manufacture.
Okay.
They do very good marketing and they do very good research and development, and their product development is tremendous. They are 1 or 2 years ahead. They look at basically what the clothing is going to be and what should the theme be. So there is tremendous there. That is for Europe and America. In India, we keep on observing people's lifestyles. Shoe has never been a very important thing in India because people earlier wanted to have very smart sunglasses, then became watches, and now it has become mobile phone. They have a mobile phone worth 40, 50, 60,000 rupees. They're paying in installment, but the shoe is really worth 1,000 rupees. They wear a plastic shoe because they feel that is not important.
Right.
When you go to somebody's house, we take the shoes out, you know. So there's nobody looking at your shoes. Like in Europe, they look completely at you, at your shoes, at what you're wearing and dress, everything. But here, mobile phone is a bigger status symbol because that shows as to, they feel, you know, I am somebody to have a smartphone. So we have to keep on innovating colors. The younger crowd coming in, they have understood. Like in Europe, they always say, when you are not in your bed, you're in your shoes. And when you're not in your shoes, you're on a bed. So both the bed and shoe has to be comfortable. Wonderful. But in India, this as a lifestyle, shoe is not really so important.
Right. Very interesting. That's a new line I've heard from you. So, you know, Sateesh, again, staying with innovation, I've often heard you talk about new things that you're experimenting with, like water-based adhesives or your diabetic shoes. What, number one, tell me about these products, and number two, what drives you to innovate so much?
You have to keep looking. Whenever I'm at the airport, and normally everywhere you have to check in 1 hour, 90 minutes ahead. Then sometimes the flight is delayed. So you eventually spend at least a good 1 to 1.5 or 2 hours at the airport, sitting in a lounge, eating and drinking and putting on weight. But if you sit on the corridors, you see people walking, and you see some people walking. They put on the shoe only because it is fashionable and they have to have it. And it's so uncomfortable. You can see the way they walk. And some people are wearing shoes which are loose, and you could see that it is just coming off as they're walking, but they're trying their best. Then there are some people who are wearing a very nice dress and everything, but the shoe is so soiled, they're not even bothered to clean it up. So it's a lot of learning. And then women's handbags, the type of handbags they carry. Some women carry a handbag where everything is inside it. So it's like a huge thing. Some women like a very, very small handbag just to carry some cosmetic and something very small. So it's interesting to see. Many men nowadays don't even carry a wallet. They carry a clip for currency. And when you see them taking out their wallet, you are amazed that, the notes are all folded up, they're crumpled. So you get ideas as to what is to be done. So we invented a bill folder for people like a clip. It's very easy to use. Then we found out that a lot of people have problems with their feet and they don't realize it. And in South India, because of being more of starch, and earlier they used to be idli dosa, whatever it is, use red rice. And now it is more starchy. People are turning more diabetic. As Indians, we are more prone to diabetes. Abroad, when you are diabetic, the first thing the doctor does is to check your feet. But in India, the feet is the last thing. They check everything else. And your feet tend to get more and more delicate because as the neuropathy on the feet weakens, even when a mosquito bites you or you get a slight injury, you don't feel it. So if you wear an ill-fitting shoe and you're a diabetic and it hurts your toes, your big toe, your small toe, you don't even feel it. For normal people, immediately the skin hardens and it becomes a corn. But for diabetic people, it becomes a wound, and a wound becomes an abscess, and abscess becomes gangrene. When it becomes gangrene, people wake up because it smells horrible. They tend to go to the doctor and they say, do anything but, help. But there is no option but to amputate. And amputation of a toe or anything is very traumatic because if you don't amputate, it can take your foot up to the ankle or up to the knee also. So for this reason, we worked with IIT Chennai, Sundaram Medical Foundation to develop a shoe for people who are diabetic. Earlier, the shoe looked like somebody who had polio. During our younger days, when we saw kids with polio, it was very shoe which was very cloggy. Yep. We got Italian designers and we studied and we made the shoe looking very smart that you can even wear it to the office without knowing you're diabetic. So most diabetic people have to have a shoe which is more roomy, where you can move your toes, and the leather should be stretchable because from morning till evening your feet increases by at least half size or one size up. So it should be adjustable. And the insole should be softer than the sole of your foot, so it doesn't hurt your foot. So it's all round comfort. So at least your foot is safe. You're not going to be amputated. It's not that diabetes is going to go away from your body or your feet, but your feet at least are safe. And as far as adhesives are concerned, all over the world until a few years ago were petroleum based. So when you were applying the adhesive, you could smell the petroleum smell. And some people used to get hooked onto this smell. In fact, it is very harmful for your lungs. So the brands realized that this is not a healthy practice. As a best practice for health and safety, we must have adhesives which do not have petroleum. So thus came water-based adhesives. So water-based adhesives are much more user-friendly, they're environmental friendly, they're expensive. So when brands started endorsing, everybody starts following them.
Very interesting. So one more question on your business before we move on. You travel 20, 22 days a month, and you're traveling all over the world buying skins. Tell me a little bit about this whole experience of, from New Zealand to Australia to, I've heard you talk about, Indonesia, Vietnam, and so many other countries you go to. What is the process of buying skins?
Very important, all these countries I visit to, I first look at animal husbandry. In countries like Indonesia and Pakistan, where the animals meat is used, they make sure animal is healthy. Because if the animal is not healthy, the meat is not going to be healthy. In New Zealand, in Australia, in South America, United States, Europe, they really take care of animal health. And when the animal is slaughtered, the first thing they do is they make sure the blood is drained out completely. It's not left in the body. So the animal is hung upside down for a few minutes and the heart pumps the blood out. When the animal is cut open, the health inspectors check the liver and they check the kidney. If the liver and kidney has any kind of discoloration or a cyst on them, the entire carcass is incinerated. It doesn't go in the food chain. Because unhealthy liver, unhealthy kidney means the animal is not healthy. If the animal is cut open and the kidney and the liver looks healthy, they cut that to see inside whether it's all right. If it's all right, then it goes further on. So these are precautions we take. But in India, we don't have regulation on this. Nobody really knows as to how healthy the animal is. We just pay and we take it. We feel that if we fry the meat or, we cook it nicely with herbs and spices, everything will die. But that is not true. So automatically, when the animal is healthy, the skin also is healthy. Like a healthy body has a glowing skin. So we have to visit these origins to buy the skins because brands more and more are now very cautious that whatever they make is appreciated by customers and it should not just stay for 1 year. The bag can last for at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. Same for the shoes. For this reason, branded shoes and bags are expensive.
Very interesting. This is the age of millennials. You are in the fashion business. Everyone who moves is wearing a shoe or using some kind of leather. How are millennials changing the way you do business?
The millennials are not really concerned nowadays whether it's a leather bag, whether shoe. They want something of utility. They are looking for something which can be used for a few months and thrown away. They look at buying online. They are not bothered what material it is. As long as it is colorful, it is sexy, it is in with their friends, they will use it. So this is something which all brands are studying as to how do you adopt to this. Some brands have started presenting collections instead of the traditional spring, summer and autumn, winter, 2 collections a year. Some brands have gone on to present 6 collections. Successful stores like Zara and Uniqlo and others, they have gone ahead more than 6 collections, so they are always attracted. So you will find in many Zara stores, women always want to go there because they see something they know after 1 or 2 months they may not be there. So even if they don't want it, they want to buy it because they feel we will not see it again. So that attracts them. And Zara is one of the most successful retailers. They have leather, they have non-leather. They just follow what people want. And that's it.
Right. Very interesting. So, Sateesh, moving on to a few personal questions for you. You're the only person I know who goes back to Leeds every year to meet all your retired professors. So my question to you is that, are there any people who have had an influence on your life? And if yes, what have you learned from them?
I was the eldest son in the family and everything was done for me until I was in high school. My mother had soiled clothes which she just put on the bed, from toothpaste to soap, so everything was arranged, so you didn't have to worry. When I went to the UK, there was nobody to look after me. Those days in the 70s, when I was in college, the number of foreign students were very limited. So they assigned a professor to take care of a bunch of students, and he used to come and check on us because he knew we came from families in Asia where everything was done.
Right.
Food was cooked, your toiletries were all taken care of, your clothes were washed, your bed was made. So it was like, and they knew that you have now come to a place where it is cold, where you have to do your own washing of the clothes in the laundrette, you have to make your own bed, you have to make sure you turn up perfect classes. These professors really gave a lot of their time. They advised how do you behave, what is mannerism, how do you use a knife and fork properly, how not to talk when you're eating. There are so many English mannerisms which you learn, how to treat a woman. When you ask somebody out for a date, what do you do, how do you behave? There are these small things which you learn, which nobody can really teach you. No book teaches you this. So we, because of their inputs, not only academically, but out of your learning, your social life, and how you lead is also more important to be what you are. They contributed a lot. So I owe them a lot, and for this reason, I always go once a year to meet them. Since 1980, I have been going.
Wow, that's quite amazing. And Sateesh, what would be 3 words that describe Sateesh?
Well, humorous. I think accepting reality and change,
Okay.
and a lot of love for friends and family.
I would understand and agree with all 3 of them. So my next question to you, Sateesh, is that if you were a role model to millions of children who closely followed you and your life choices, what is the one thing you would change in yourself?
I think the one thing I would change in myself is looking at so many rapid changes which have happened since I've been in college. The way you look at things has changed, and I think we have to look at the perception which younger people are following because they are the future. We cannot be rigid with old traditions, with old thoughts and old way of doing things. You have to keep changing. It's not so easy, but you have to accept that you have to just go ahead. And I feel that acceptance will attract younger people because they feel that this uncle is young.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So my next question is, what is the most outrageous thing you have done? And do you look back at it with pleasure or regret? And between you and me, we've done lots of outrageous things.
Yes. I think the most outrageous thing was my 21st birthday in Leeds University. And there's always a competition that you have to drink a bucket of beer. So I thought, this is so easy. I trained myself by just drinking water, and I thought it's only filling your stomach. Little did I know that the beer has a lot of alcohol. And that particular day, my favorite beer was not on the tap, it was Guinness. And Guinness is quite strong. I could only drink half a bucket, and that was it. I was floored. And people were carrying me on their shoulders, as if I had passed off, So that was an experience. I never thought that this half a bucket of Guinness would completely kill me.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So my next question, and I have time for 2 more questions. How often do you really sit back and reflect on where you are going? And do you think self-reflection is good for you?
I get a lot of time when I travel alone in aircraft. Many a times I don't see movies, but I just think about how have I come and what am I up to now and why am I here? It gives you a lot of answers. And you follow what your heart says, your mind says, what your passion is, and you think, okay, what you have done so far is right. Sometimes I feel maybe I could have done something better, something different. But then you can keep on thinking, it doesn't help you anymore at all. So that keeps driving me. And often I use this time to dwell, and I feel that, what has happened is good. Let's look at future, what is there. And mentioning this, the forum in my life from YPO has been tremendous. I look forward to forum meetings. I look forward to sharing. I feel that, although we are not related, we are like brothers. Although we are far, I feel we are near. And we can share a lot of thoughts, ideas, whether it's silly, whether it's crazy, whether it's progressive, whatever it is.
Very interesting. So my last question to you, and that is relating to this pandemic. How has this pandemic affected you and your business?
We are in the fashion business. And when the pandemic started in Europe in February, we all felt that this is a passing thing, it will be over. Little did we know from March, April onwards, it will attack India. But when it attacked Europe, and especially many of the brands and retailers said, our outlets are closed, do not ship. So we were holding the goods for February, and we felt in March it can be shipped. Nothing happened in March, nothing happened in April, nothing happened in May. Europe opened only in June. When they opened, we were very excited that we can ship everything. Little did we realize that the season is over. And the brands don't want it because it's a complete change of season.
Wow.
So they said you have to hold on to the goods, either you give 50% discount and ship it, or keep it until next season next year, January, February. So this was a big blow. So what some done is, we have looked at those styles and we thought that let's put it online in the domestic market. So you will see a lot of offerings in Vietnam, in India, in many countries which are exporting. They're offering products in the domestic market to just make some cash flow happen.
Wow. Wow.
So the pandemic is something that it is a learning. We were actually overconfident about everything. We never knew that any disaster which strikes you 1, 2, 3 months, you have to pay salaries of people, you have to manage your business. We just were on the knife edge and we were just continuing very jolly.
Yeah.
And this has taught us to be cautious. It has taught us to make sure that you have a big list. You don't know when you require. It has taught us that you have to take care of your people who are working with you. You can't abandon them. So many of us have taken salary cuts to help all the workers and their families, who most of them are earning around about 15 to 30,000 rupees. And cutting any salary for them will be a devastation. So we were trying to help them.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Sateesh, thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you, and I wish Gaitonde and you personally lots and lots of success.
Thank you very much, Ashutosh. Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.